I'm writing something based on Maggie Nelson, and something that I love about all of her work, and Berkowitz in particular, is that it weaves together the personal and not personal so comfortably. Berkowitz is a great example. It's sort of a hybrid form between essays and poetry, and it's composed of 240 short prose pieces that are all about the color blue and the author's attachment to the color blue. They range from quotes about color by Wittgenstein and Cezanne to scientific facts about the perception of blue to personal reflections. What makes Nelson's slide from the not personal into the personal even more elegant is that she writes about everything from philosophy to fucking with a cold clarity reminiscent of Joan Didion or Anne Carson. This evenness of voice holds every subject on the same level. And finally, I'm intrigued by the form of Berkowitz. The 240 paragraphs are at once a loosely connected pile of thoughts and a completely coherent essay. So I will read you some selections. These are from the beginning of the book. Five. In 1867, after a long bout of solitude, the French poet Stéphane Mallarmé wrote to his friend Henri Cazalet, "These last months have been terrifying. My thought has thought itself through and reached a pure idea. What the rest of me has suffered during that long agony is indescribable." Mallarmé described this agony as a battle that took place on God's bony wing. "I struggled with that creature of ancient and evil plumage, God, whom I fortunately defeated and threw to earth," he told Cazalet with exhausted satisfaction. Eventually, Mallarmé began replacing le ciel with l'azur in his poems, in an effort to rinse references to the sky of religious connotations. "Fortunately," he wrote Cazalet, "I am quite dead now." 6. The half-circle of blinding turquoise ocean is this love's primal scene. That this blue exists makes my life a remarkable one, just to have seen it. To have seen such beautiful things, to find oneself placed in their midst. Choiceless, I returned there yesterday and stood again upon the mountain. 18. A warm afternoon in early spring, New York City. We went to the Chelsea Hotel to fuck. Afterward, from the window of our room, I watched a blue tarp on a roof across the way flap in the wind. You slept, so it was my secret. It was a smear of the quotidian, a bright blue flake amidst all the dank providence. It was the only time I came. It was essentially our lives. It was shaking. So, I have been working for a while on a long piece about pain and trauma. And it aims to do a lot of the things that Berkowitz does so beautifully, combine the personal with the not personal, and exist in a hybrid space between poetry and essay. So here's the selection. It's called Tender Points. When I was a music journalist, I wrote that the best noise music venues are places where you walk in and think, somebody could actually die here tonight. The feeling that something real is at stake. Noise music immerses the listener in an intense and sometimes terrifying sonic experience, and without environmental cues to confirm that terror, the effect loses its power. In Revolutionary Letter Number 1, Diane de Prima writes, "I have just realized that the stakes are myself. I'm looking for someplace dire enough to write this. I want to feel like I could actually die here tonight." When I lived in Ann Arbor, I used to bike 9 miles on an empty highway to see noise shows in Ypsilanti. The Pleasure Dome was a dark, unfinished basement with a concrete floor and low ceilings. Cigarettes and synths and sweat and beer. I want to write this there. I'll explain it to you the same way I would explain it to a new lover. "Hey," I'd say, kissing your face instead of your mouth and smoothing back your hair and looking at you, "can I tell you something kind of heavy?" I would tell you that I was raped by my pediatrician when I was 10. I would tell you that I repressed this memory and that I didn't remember it until 6 years ago. I would tell you that the morning after I recalled the rape, I woke up with pain all over my body and that the pain was eventually named fibromyalgia. 2 at the bottom of the neck, just above the collarbone. 2 just below the center of each collarbone. 1 on the crease inside each elbow, 2 more on the inside of each knee. On the back of the body, 2 at the bottom of the neck, 1 above each shoulder blade and just inside each shoulder blade, 2 on either side of the lower spine, 2 more on the outer part of each hamstring. In order to be diagnosed, the patient must experience discomfort in at least 11 of the 18 tender points designated by the American College of Rheumatology. I keep having this vision of my body shot through with systems of hidden stairs and hallways, secret, steep, ill-maintained servants' quarters. I've tried drawing diagrams, but they aren't very good. Imagine that the stairs climb up my arm and neck and lead to doors in and out my ears, then back down the other arm. In these dim, drafty passages, memories creep through my body right next to present perceptions. If you live in the Bay Area and you feel like you might be a haunted house, it's impossible not to eventually compare yourself to the Winchester Mystery House. The Winchester Mystery House is a 160-room Victorian mansion in San Jose, so famous that the name Winchester Mystery House is followed by a trademark symbol every time it appears on the Winchester Mystery House website. After the death of her husband, Sarah Winchester used her share of the Winchester rifle fortune to build a sprawling and peculiar mansion to appease the spirits of the vast number of people killed by her husband's rifles. Convinced that the spirits would murder her if she ever stopped construction, Sarah hired workers to build round the clock so that the house was never complete. This continued for 36 years until her death in 1922. Many people with fibromyalgia experience non-restorative sleep. That is, no matter how long they sleep, they wake up feeling tired. Like many things about fibromyalgia, the cause of this sleep disorder is unknown. One theory is that the sympathetic nervous system's fight or flight response is constantly activated, increasing nocturnal vigilance and preventing restful sleep. What vigil is my sympathetic nervous system keeping? It seems to be supervising construction of a mansion designed to ward off evil spirits. It's building secret passages inside my body to root the past around the present and keep trauma out of sight, out of mind, like servants in a smoothly running household. Every morning, I wake up feeling like I was run over by a truck. I feel like I've been hit by a bus. I wake up feeling like I got whiplash. I wake up feeling like I slept on the floor. I wake up feeling like I've been chewed up and spit out. Multiple alarms, and I always feel like I've been run over by a truck. Hopefully through this website, I can find some support, and maybe I can convince my husband to try to learn more about what is going on with me. I'm 21 years old, and I feel like I'm 50. I'm 50, I feel like I'm 90. I'm only 22, and I feel like I am 60 or 70 years old. I feel like I'm in my 80s, but I'm only 46. People in my life may think I am exaggerating, but I am truly in pain. In The Body in Pain, Elaine Scarry describes pain's essential inexpressibility. For the person in pain, so incontestably and unnegotiably present is it that having pain may come to be thought of as the most vibrant example of what it is to have certainty, while for the other person it is so elusive that hearing about pain may exist as the primary model of what it is to have doubt. This causes serious problems in the field of medicine. Scarry writes, if the only external sign of the felt experience of pain, for which there is no alteration in the blood count, no shadow on the X-ray, no pattern on the CAT scan, is the patient's verbal report, however itself inadequate, then to bypass the voice is to bypass the bodily event, to bypass the patient, to bypass the person in pain. Scary may as well be describing fibromyalgia specifically. Fibromyalgia is largely defined by a lack of visible symptoms or identifying lab tests. The only diagnostic criteria are the frustratingly vague tender points. Press here and I'll tell you if it hurts. Now press here. Now press here. Now press here. Now press here. All I have to do is tell you. All you have to do is believe what I tell you. I went to a reading here in July, and the only thing I remember about it is that one of the poets mentioned that Kenneth Patchen suffered from chronic back pain. That was the only thing I wrote down. Google corrects Kenneth Patchen pain to Kenneth Patchen paintings. The University of Houston's library website confirms that Kenneth Patchen's work was produced amidst constant physical pain. That passive voice, that amidst, I see a field of pain blowing in the breeze, and Kenneth Patchen sitting in the middle of it with a notebook. There is body, there is mind, they are mixed up together. Shakespeare with a hole in his sock will not write the sonnet of a Shakespeare with socks intact. Kenneth Patchen, The Journal of Albion Moonlight. Earlier this summer, I went to a church bazaar sale and found a blue and white spiral-bound notebook labeled the Scholastic Book Club's Millennium Time Capsule Contest. Here was an invitation to time travel. I bought it for 15 cents. This kind of moving through time is something every victim of trauma is an expert at. I was determined to win the contest. I signed the pledge on the cover. I do hereby agree to record my experiences, thoughts, and feelings in this diary during the millennial year 2000. Furthermore, I agree that I will seal this diary in an envelope on December 31st, 2000, and I will not open the envelope until January 1st, 2010. I figured my unique time travel approach would give me an edge and set me apart from the other contestants. I filled the journal nearly halfway, combining current reflections with memories from 2000. After a few months of writing, I lost interest in the time capsule notebook. When I took a closer look at the cover, I realized it wasn't an entry into the contest, but a prize for those who had already won. I realized the writing I was doing in it wasn't any different than the writing I do in other notebooks. My instinct is always to correspond between past and present. Small pages hurt my hand. Even on regular paper, writing makes my hand cramp up like a claw. The pain reminds me of a bronze sculpture I saw on Lauren Berlant's Facebook page. My friend request is pending. Of an arm that's on one end an open hand and on the other a clenched fist. A relation of cruel optimism exists when something you desire is actually an obstacle to your flourishing. Lauren Berlant. No notebook reverie goes unpunished. It's always a question of what's worth writing down.